Hi, friends. Host Eric here. Host of Talking with Famous People. And guy who needs to find his tripod. I'm guessing it might still be in the car. I guess I'll go look for it there. Hopefully I didn't lock the car. Make it a lot easier if I didn't lock the car. So, what is Eric mad about today? I don't even know. I just woke up kind of generally irritated. Woke up mad a little bit at the IRS for some reason, even though I've not had any particular engagement with them. My tripod's not in here? Well, where is it then? It's cold. Got down to 32 last night, so that's pretty chilly. I gotta find the tripod though. Where did I put it? I don't know where I possibly could have put it even. I always tend to leave it around here somewhere. Huh. I have no idea where I left the tripod. Is it here somewhere? No. Huh. That's weird. Might be in the garage. That's where it is. It's in the little car, I think. I took it with me when I went in the little car the other day. And yes, here it is. As anticipated. There. Now I have a very dusty tripod. Taking a little car out means getting red dust all over everything. It's like traveling to Mars, I tell you. There. Just look how dusty the back of this car is. See all the dust? Or the front seat where we're sitting is not nearly as dusty. Okay. Now that I have a tripod, I can repatriate to the living room, but I actually have to poo. Of course, starting the live stream is the best way to make oneself poo. Let me bring up the chat in here so I can see it. Meow. Yes, you're a special gentleman. There. Ruben, my Hessick, hello. Dusty Gonzagas. Gazongas. Well, Rachel had on a sweater, so her gazongas weren't very dusty. Here. You guys can look down the hall while I go poo. And maybe I'll dust off this tripod while I'm pooing. Wipe some of this dust off of it. I mean, if you really want to get dust all over everything, You should try driving a little wilderness car on dirt roads into the wilderness. Then you too can have dust all over everything. But I gotta say, Rachel and I both, I think, really enjoyed our last trip out into the wilderness. We took a road that we'd never taken before, and we like it better than the roads we've taken before. It takes you straight up in elevation. At one point I checked the elevation on our phone and it was 5,000 some odd feet. We probably went down 500 to 1,000 feet to get to the road, so we probably went up like 2,000 feet in elevation from the base of the road. It was nice. It was like notably colder as we got up higher. And even though it was Saturday, we saw almost nobody. We did see a couple that was setting up to hunt. They had a gun on like a rifle on like this stand that if you lie down, then you can like move the point of the rifle around. Like a ground swivel thing, you know. And we waved to them as we drove past. They had positioned themselves on this ridge where you could see the whole valley below with their gun there, waiting for some animal to walk by so they could shoot it. We actually saw, well, once we got a little way from the front of the road, anyway, we saw one other person too, and a truck with a couple guys in it. They were probably hunting too. It is hunting season. We weren't hunting, of course. We didn't even bring our gun with us. We were just taking the little wilderness car out so we had something to do. Well, okay. Okay. All right. I've already watched you eat this morning, but fine. I'll give you more food and we'll watch you eat. So, probably the main reason I actually woke up mad is pretty straightforward. It's that I don't have any amphetamines. We finished them. But that's okay, you know. I don't need amphetamines to be happy. I like them, but they don't really work very well. Like, it's not like it makes me very productive. Amphetamines used to work well for me. Nowadays, I mean, I still like them, you know, but I only ever have them for about a week, a month, maybe a little longer than that, but not much. Because, you know, Rachel and I share them, and if I was doing them by myself, they might last 2 weeks, but even so, it's not really any point. It goes into diminishing returns so fast nowadays. I don't I don't have the kind of um, it's hard to make me tweak out like I used to be able to tweak out, you know. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. It's probably a good thing. I mean, the point is, Rachel and I have everything any person could possibly ask for to be happy. And by and large, we're pretty happy. But, you know, as we were discussing last night, Rachel and I were talking about this. Nothing in life, hi Misty Joy, nothing in life prior to my parents' death prepared us for this. At no point in life did Rachel and I ever have, like, a stress free, expectation free, comfortable life. At 0 point did we ever have that before. Hi, Raiden Shogun. I noticed a couple of comments from yours. I appreciate them. Like, you know, when life's hard for 51 years, like for all 51 years, it's hard. Varying degrees of difficulty. And then all of a sudden, it becomes easy, comfortable, like a dream life. It's very difficult to adjust, to anticipate how things are going to be and or change your ways and to be consistent with your life. Rachel and I spent a lot of time self-medicating, trying to cope with the difficulty and awfulness of life, only to have the difficulty and awfulness of life go away. We still have all the same coping mechanisms as habits. It's really it's crazy to try to explain just how much of a future shock it has been and still remains, and how difficult it is to adjust to this new reality in a meaningful way. Well, Mr. Joey, you took lots of sleeping pills today? I might follow your lead at some point here. I'd probably take a couple more gabapentins and crash out for a long nap. You know, it is sleepy week. It's not as intensive a sleepy week as things used to be because we only had to sleep for like a week. And there's not really not really much of a point in going and hitting up Delilah for 100 milligrams. It's like 100 milligrams. I need to take like 120 milligrams. That's 2 days of 60 milligrams a day. That's, if I save some for Rachel, it's like basically nothing. So I will probably go to LA again and hit up Delilah for some more. But, you know. Are there any questions that stump you? I mean, sure, there are plenty of specific questions that would stump me. If you ask me a difficult math question, I'd have no idea where to begin, probably. It was like calculus or something. I'd have to do a great deal of research before I could even begin to answer it. As far as like cosmological questions, Well, frankly, I think we're all stumped by those. The problem is, most people think they aren't stumped by those. Most people think they have answers to them. But, like, we're all stumped by the question, where does species come from? There's no good answer. The only reason it doesn't stump me is because I have the correct answer. I don't know. Neither do you. So, as long as one recognizes that I don't know is the correct answer sometimes, then nothing really stumps me. To be truly stumped by a question, hey, Hank O'Flamo, thanks. Did some panels so I could figure out my MBTI type. I'm pretty sure I'm INTJ. Well, Hank O'Flamo. Unfortunately, it's a bad idea to try to determine your type by committee. There's only one person who's truly qualified to type anybody, and that's me. If you ask a bunch of idiots what type you are, you're going to get a bunch of idiotic responses here, there, and everywhere. You may be good at discerning between those, eliminating those that are idiotic and retaining those that are good. But nevertheless, you're still trying to get to your destination by a trip according to Ship of Fools. You can't successfully type somebody without actually testing their cognitive functions. But that's fine. I don't expect everybody in the world to get typed by me. I don't even want that. So if you're convinced you're an INTJ, then I'll just assume you're an INTJ. Yeah, typing is a really weird area of world. I didn't figure it out when you asked me. I mean, did I type you officially? Oh, I remember who you are. I'm pretty sure you're actually an ESFP. But I couldn't be sure entirely. I think you're probably an ESFP. I remember you actually, which is unusual. I don't normally remember people I type. After I typed you, I thought about that typing session more. I think you're an ESFP, but you probably don't want to hear that. That's an unusual thing, by the way, Hank O'Flamo. You should feel proud of that. I do not remember old typing sessions at all. Yours stuck out to me. I agree with you, Money. How old you have? I have 52 years. How old you have? But yeah, Money, I agree with you completely. The reason people do it the other way around is because they're using the truth instrumentally to shape their own self perceptions. It seems strange, but it has to do with NI4, NI8, you know, it's in that range of things. Because people who have NI 4 or 8 have it very instrumental. That's why, like ESFPs, they can typically have like a new truth every week that's life changing. This week it's fasting. Next week it's um, yoga. The week after that it's semen retention. The week after that it's drinking shit tons of water for some reason. It's like these tend to be very physical things that the 4 slot NI person expects to be um, like used by them for their purposes, but non-determinate, even though NI is determinate by nature. But if you use it instrumentally, it's not. It's like for people who use it instrumentally, if I can determine that I'm an ENTP, that means I'm creative, I'm original, I'm clever. It means all the positive adjectives. You get to claim those positive adjectives. Of course, that's not how it works at all. It is backwards, but people are their function stacks. Well, I mean, the point about NI though, remember, just because something's the truth doesn't mean it's true. Um, what NI is about relevance. It's about weight. How much is this factor weighted compared to other factors in determining a given thing? It's about holistic, irreducible truths that are probably also accordingly not defensible truths. It's important to remember that. It is true that certain songs are better than other songs, but it's not defensively true. I can't win the argument that Mia is a great song and Mia is a shitty song, but it's nevertheless true, right? So it's also the case that when universalist truths are applied to things that need particularist truth, then it can cause a lot of problems for people who have subjective functions on the backside. I have a perfect example for you. Rachel reading some article that checks to see if your partner really loves you or something. And it says, if your partner consistently walks in front of you, then that might mean he doesn't really care about you very much. So now I consistently walk in front of Rachel, but it definitely doesn't mean that. And the problem there is not that walking in front is incorrectly understood by that article. The problem is that the idea of universalizing something like that is a bad idea inherently. Even if it's generally true what they say, it's not the kind of thing that universalizes. So presenting it as such is bad. So like when you have NI Dom paired with FE, you end up with somebody who has very little access to their subjective functions. FI is 6th slot and countervalued. SI is 8th slot and super unconscious. So then that person looks to universal truths to explain to themselves things that they should be able to explain to themselves by using their subjective functions if they were optimized to explain those things for themselves, right? So when I wonder if I have a good relationship with Rachel, I'm going to look to my SI, which is going to be more accurate about my relationship than NI could ever be. I can check my own experience and say, well, I'm consistently happy in her company. We don't have any arguments. Like, I can just look to all my experience and say this is a great relationship. Where Rachel, she doesn't feel convinced by those kind of things, I guess. Or it's just so unconscious, she just never accesses SI for the purpose of knowing intentionally or consciously. So, yeah, she's always using the universal truth, but it's important to remember that NI, what's universally true, is not necessarily the truth, right? It's not necessarily true, and it's not necessarily informative. It's universal. It's about weighting and relevance. Yeah, I'm sure it is the case that if you were to look at a bunch of people and their walking habits, that it might very well correlate strongly that if I consistently walk in front of a partner, that it means I don't care about it very much or something. It doesn't mean that in this instance. I mean, if we're walking around the block or something, we'll walk side by side. It's easy. But most places in life, there's it's not that easy to walk side by side, you know? You're on a little sidewalk pushing a shopping cart to the market. Other people are on that sidewalk. You're in the market and it's just crowded as fuck, and you can't just casually stroll side by side. I'm trying to get where I'm going as efficiently as possible, and it's more efficient for each of us to have our own space. I have longer legs than she does, so I tend to just get ahead of her periodically. I'll look back and go like, oh shit, she's far back there, I gotta wait. Walking is like driving. Not something you do, it's something that happens between things you do. And that's very SE8 of me. So, one big problem that we have in life in general is that you get a bunch of people giving a bunch of pieces of advice and universalizing a bunch of shit without factoring in cognitive functions. And therefore, you get a bunch of misleading nonsense. There needs to be people factoring in before they say shit. Because people love to just say shit that they don't have any fucking idea what they're talking about. um, particularist, universalist is a dichotomy that needs to be factored in before anybody says anything about anything, pretty much. Like, if I ask somebody, what do you think of situation X in my relationship? Some people will immediately start answering. They don't need to know any more specific details. They just have whatever you said initially, they're going to say, well, this is what I think about that thing. Those people are much more distant from their subjectivities than somebody who needs to know a lot more details before they start answering the question and asks a lot of questions about your specifics. Some situations require somebody to ask a lot of questions about the specifics to be informed enough to provide any kind of answer at all. And some kind of questions don't. I don't know what type you are, Hanko Flamo, which is why I said I don't know what type you are. I think you did a good job of playing the role of an INTJ in the typing session. I don't have definitive polar tests for FE polar. I don't feel as though I pushed hard enough on your TI. But the thing is, I stand by my typing. I don't know for sure. But I was leaning afterwards ESFP. I didn't say you're definitively an ESFP. I never made that claim. But the fact that you didn't parse that language that carefully is another indication that you're possibly not an INTJ, right? It's like the words I said were not "you are an ESFP." I never said those words. Eric didn't even know. He just woke up mad. I think I might be mad at Helen Keller. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but Helen Keller was a real bitch. She had a bunch of servants, and she used to slap them when they'd complain. She'd say, "I can't hear you." And, you know, she was a real sexual harasser. She used to go up to men and say, "I need to learn what a penis is." And then she just grabbed their junk, you know. "This is the only way I can learn." And when people would try to get her arrested or something, she'd always just play the same thing. "I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you. I can't see anything. Why are you doing this to me?" And then the cops would just be like, "You know what? Never mind." Congratulations, Russia. You're Russia. Aren't we all Mother Russia in some way? Isn't some part of each of our hearts Mother Russia? I think so. You know, Germany may have the fatherland, but Russia has the motherland. America, we have the grandma land. Canada has the grandpa land. Mexico has the land of uncles. Cuba's second cousin land. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably pretty safe to say you're in the SFP NTJ quadra. I think we could probably eliminate ISTJ. But again, even those things I say with qualifiers. The only reason I have anything to say about your type at all at this point, since I typed you quite a while ago, is that your typing session stuck in my head, unlike most, and I thought about it for a while afterwards. Well, because it's not normal that I can't figure out someone's type. Normally I can. But some types make more of an effort at gaming than others and are more capable of doing so, therefore. The ones who are most capable of doing so potentially are INFJs, but they're the least likely to actually try to game it. Yeah, I think. Well, like I said, some people come in making an effort to establish the type they want to be, and some people don't. And it's not, I don't mean that normatively, like, it's not inherently bad to come in and attempt to produce the type you want to be. It's it's typologically inevitable for some people. So when you think about things that way, a lot of non-normative matters become appropriately non-normative. You know what was interesting? I saw an old comment because of course this is one thing I'm mad about. What the fuck, YouTube? I got this massive pile of comments, 2 years old, 3 years old. I thought I had cleared out all my comments. And then out of the blue, here come, I don't know, hundreds of comments that you just had, I guess, off stage in the waiting area. Okay, kitty, shut up. I'm being mad about something. And it's like, now I gotta go through all these old comments. Oh, meow. Do you hear how mournful that bullshit meow is? This cat has had me watching me like 3 times already this morning. It's only like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'm watching you eat. Jeez. So anyway, one of those comments from a couple of years ago was by Shuffler. And I'm sure he understands the distinction now, but he was saying he didn't understand the distinction between prescriptive and normative. Prescriptive necessarily involves a predicted impact. So if I say you should take Tylenol, and you probably said initially, I have a headache. And the should there is prescriptive in the sense of this will help solve your problem. If you say, I'd like to get more exercise, someone says you should take up jogging. It's a, suggestion of a thing that will meet the criterion of your goal. So if it's trying to solve a problem or meet a goal, it's prescriptive. On the other hand, you should not steal is universal. It's not specific to any problem or goal, and therefore is normative. In general, when I say that like Big Five is normative, what I mean is it sets these personality traits that are either good or bad inherently, and you either score well or poorly on them. So if you score poorly on agreeableness, well, then you're just a disagreeable person. That's bad, and too bad for you, you're stuck with it. In that sense, it's normative in that it's judging you holistically, not in comparison against any specific solution or goal. Are you done? No. Not yet. We have to watch him eat some more. This cat is the most well-named cat in history. This cat is non-stop trouble. Everything about him is trouble. The point is, the most important takeaway about this whole INTJ ESFP thing is this. If after an hour of actually typing you correctly, I couldn't figure it out and concluded that you were ESFP, INTJ, or ISTJ, then there's no way you're going to have people who are less good at figuring it out than me figure it out by committee and have a better answer than my lack of conclusion. And that's just how it is. You give them an inch. God. I'm not saying you led the conversation. But even your phrasing of that sentence is suggestive of extroversion. Just suggestive, not definitive, you know. What is this? Oh, I already dealt with this. This is the thing they left, but it told me I have to fix my mailbox. I fixed it. I need to fix it more, though, which is a pain in the ass. So probably I'm a little moody this morning just because I'm out of money. I do not. I disagree with you strongly. You have got to be. I mean, I can't really type people from chat, as I said many times, but you've got to be an NTP. There's just, you have to be. You you ask such amazingly good questions, make such amazingly good observations. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that you're not an NTP. Well, I mean, I haven't typed you. However, I can recognize high level thinking regardless of type, okay? You aren't bullshitting. You aren't a pseudo intellectual. He seems to think much more easily than you. Do you find thinking hard? I don't believe I said that. I go flamo. Mostly what I've said is I'm happy enough getting a small amount of work. I don't really like working. When I have to work, typing's as pleasant a work as I can imagine doing. I guess I wouldn't mind having a few more typing sessions, but I also feel like I don't have any typing sessions. That's your name, after all. Hi, Meow. What do you want now? How can you be so... Do you want me to let you into the bedroom? He probably wants me to let him in the bedroom now. XXTX? That narrows it down. Well, Raiden Shogun, remember, I've typed a lot of people. Usually, at least 85% of the time, I can successfully narrow it down to one type, tell you what type you are, explain why, and feel pretty confident about it. Maybe 15% of the time, maybe 20, I am not definitively sure by the end of the session. So Even then, I can narrow it down to a couple of types usually, a couple of possibilities. When I give a person three possibilities, like I did Oflamo, that's very rare that I am that unsure. Very, very rare. That's why I remember his session so much. You truly only trust yourself to type you? Well, that's probably wise because having engaged with you multiple times, I can tell you that almost everybody who might try to type you would be less intelligent than you. Myself excluded. Look, I feel the same way about doctors, right? Dr. Ingram excluded. Sometimes there's an exception you have to evaluate on its merits. You got to remember that I've typed hundreds of people and my process is public. You know, my explanations and my reasoning and everything all links both to this huge pile of empirics of people I've typed before and to my overall explanations, which are available for anybody to peruse and critique. Um, the problem with every other typologist is they don't want to have their explanation fully subject to critique. They want it to be lost in the mists of their intuitive leaps and therefore to be unfalsifiable, unverifiable in any possible way. I'm not those fuckers, okay? I'm me. Big difference. You've engaged with me enough to know that I'm not like any other typologist. Maybe you were correct, but you don't know yet. How would you try to type any deities? I mean, that's a strange question. How would I type any deities? Oh, I I don't know how to answer that question. I guess it would depend on the deity. Like, how would I type Thor? Well, I'd type him the same way I type anybody else. You know, I'd check to see if he's SI or NI. I'd check to see if he's FETI or TEFI. You know, I just type him the same as everybody else. Right. I'm not like the other girls, okay? I'm special. I'm a special snowflake. And it's about time the world just accept and acknowledge that. Oh, there's nothing to be nervous about. You know what they call me behind my back? Sweet and tender. Mm-hmm. I'm just sweet and tender Eric. As sweet and tender as a puddle of simple syrup. That's pretty sweet and tender. If you like things that are sweet and tender, you will love having a conversation with me. Really? I don't remember that. Rubinar. I don't remember you being nervous. What's there to be nervous about? It's just sweet and tender Eric. You know. Are you nervous about a puddle of simple syrup? You know, yeah, it's slightly viscous, but you can live with that. I'm gonna open this door a little bit in case trouble wants to go in, but shh, Rachel's sleeping. Nobody yell. Still keep your voices down until we get out to the garage, okay? Okay, now everybody can resume yelling. Resume yelling. Resume yelling. If you aren't yelling, then you're just smelling. That's the old saying. Most people are nervous. I was, and it was needless. To be honest, it felt like essentially like a therapy session, but an easy one, not one of the hard tear-filled ones. People can choose to post or not. Obviously, it's good for the channel if people want to publish, but if they don't want to publish, that's fine too. I don't really care either way. If they don't want to publish, then I can record and share with them privately via Google Drive. Every once in a while, somebody will say, every once in a while, someone will say they don't want me to record it at all, in which case I won't. But usually at the end of the session, they go, I wish I had you recorded and shared with me privately so I could look at it again. So, you know, but obviously it's up to the client. Also, if you decide to publish, you can always change your mind and tell me to take it down at any point. However, if you do decide not to publish at some point, then I'll just delete it and it'll be gone. So I probably won't be able to share it with you privately anymore. A woman on the show recounts her story of being assaulted by a man in a grocery store parking lot. After she details the story, Larry's first question is, where did he put the groceries? Wow. That's that's some. It also displays kind of weak FI, I think. You know, it's not just weak NI. Balls. IP official. When you say balls, are you referring to testicles or simply to basketballs, footballs? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, don't give unsolicited advice, okay? If you don't give unsolicited advice first, then I will continue to do what I want to do. How about that? Sounds like a good plan, huh? Look, we can't do anything. You do what you want to do, and I'll do what I want to do. How did that sound? Um, well, at least I'm not you. That's some solace for me. I may have black lungs, but I'm not an idiot. So that's satisfying. I'm sorry, does the secondhand smoke bother you? In case I haven't been entirely clear. Oh, fuck off. IP official. Yes, I'm sure you don't smoke. But you're awfully presumptuous to tell me what to do. Okay, let's return to the inside of the house now. I'm not a dragon. I'm just a human being, muddling his way through life, like most of us. You know, life can be difficult, life can be easy, life can be difficult, life can be easy. But no matter what, don't forget, we're in it till death. Amen and yet. What's this live stream about? It's about being cool. It's about the art and style of coolness. How can you too grow to become as cool a man as I? Well, IP official, that's a great question. And no, I don't want to smoke a whole pack at the same time. Thank you for the $2. That's not how I roll. I don't want other people to tell me what to do or how to live or things like that. Like most people, I don't want that. Some people seem to want that, but I don't understand those people. So, instead of listening to either IP official or Hanko Flamo, what I will do instead is pull the delicious bong rip. Well, I haven't had real coffee in a few days. I've been drinking decaf. I made real coffee this morning. It's making me all jittery. It's making me. You're in love with Shrek? Well, then you're destined to a life of loneliness. Because Shrek's already spoken for by that female Shrek. Uh-oh, you've trapped me, money. You've trapped me in a catch-22. I'm sorry to hear that boy Klaus. That happens occasionally. Hopefully it won't happen to me. Executed perfectly. Well, yeah, I've got a lot of experience. Some of you may not value SI, but I bet you can't roll a joint while driving. I can. You think that just comes out of nowhere one day? You're just magically able to do that? No. It takes practice. It takes years of dedicated practice. Me, no problem. I can roll a joint while driving. Here's the thing, money. I'm not going to not do what others tell me to do, nor am I going to do what others tell me to do. I'm just going to do what I want. If it happens to align with either of those two things, that's incidental to the question. There, I got out of your catch 22. Or, as it's sometimes called, uh, double bind. You're on your laptop while driving? Well, that's probably pretty unsafe. Was feeling stuffy, so I did the neti pop with a little hydrogen peroxide added. Fixed you right up. Huh. You know what? Next time you're feeling congested, Ruben, I want you to try something a little different. I want you to try snorting a couple lines of meth. I think that's going to clear you right up. Speaking of life, I've come up with a concept that life is a series of experiences and teachings that will be recycled entity to entity. You're illegal? What does that mean? Are you an illegal alien? I sent that. You mean you're young? Well, then maybe you shouldn't watch this live stream. Go away. You have a dash cam, you'll be fine. This means you'll have a recording of your crash. You'll have a recording of yourself crashing into somebody. This live stream does sometimes touch upon, as a subject, adult subjects. So if you're younger than an adult, maybe you should go somewhere else. Adult subjects like paying the property taxes. IP official. You must be very young indeed. Why don't you go watch people play Roblox? I hear that's something that young people like to do. They like to watch people play Roblox. Maybe they like to play it themselves. I guess that old standby, Minecraft, maybe a little passe now. I'm not sure. I think Roblox may have replaced it as the dominant thing. I'm not exactly sure what Roblox is or what you do in it or whatever. Let me Google it. Let's find out what Roblox is. It seems to be very popular with the youths. Roblox is the ultimate virtual universe that lets you create, share experiences with friends, and be anything you can imagine. Let's see. Let me look at this YouTube channel about Roblox. This is they have a YouTube channel called Roblox. It's got 4.56 million subscribers. And it shows some of the things you can create in Roblox. It looks like kind of like fancy Minecraft, I guess. It's like all games in one, like a buildy game, a shooter, a driving game. Like, what is this game even? It's got arrows, it's got guns, it's got monsters, it's got helicopters. How many different things can you possibly have in a game? It's got skateboarding and dancing. It's got bananas. It's got ships. It's got giant stuffed animals chasing people. It's got people playing in a band doing like a fashion posing contest. People at Stonehenge. You got Hello Kitty. There's more helicopters. You play hockey in it. You could ride on a dragon. You can shoot at each other near a train. What in the world? This game has everything in it. Well, that's too many things if you ask me. I'm just gonna say it right now. That's too many things for one game to have in it. Utopia will never maybe happen, but we can have more or less horribleness, right? We don't have to have a world that's embracing its horribleness. We could instead have a world that is in consensus, at least in the free world, regarding the good. You know, for example, there's a universal good in freedom of expression and individuality that defeats the evil of tyranny, which is why tyranny is always so quick to silence people. Well, then go poo, for fuck's sake. Say please, Challen. There. I said it. Popachka. Boys stuff. Hi. Hi. We get a lot of random people in here since I started live streaming vertically. You know? We get just so many random people. You can backflip. I'm so impressed by your ability to backflip. Bursack. Hello. How are you? As indicated, we get a lot of random people in here since I started live streaming vertically. And that's cool, I guess, you know. They're not necessarily all a perfect fit for the channel, but you never know. Maybe some of them are. Which one is better between vanilla and caramel? Well, I guess it depends what you're flavoring. You tried to poo and you had to go to the hospital? Well, have fun at the hospital. Depends what you're flavoring, but by and large, I'm going to say I prefer caramel or caramel, however you want to say it. So, what am I doing today? Well, I don't know. It is sleepy week. I'm not really feeling like doing much of anything. There are a couple of anime that come out today that I want to watch, but not that many. However, tomorrow's what you might call the day of desolation. There is not even, I think, a single one good cartoon come out tomorrow. You have COVID. Congratulations. Junilid 4 inches 7. Hoof to you as well. And I hope that your hoof is as pleasant as mine. So we've got actually 18 people watching the stream right now. See, before I started streaming vertically, I would consistently have 10, 11 people show up. After I started streaming vertically, that number is, nearly doubled. Do you watch Dragon Ball UV by Call Me Arch? No, I don't. I'm currently watching like a majority of the new shows that are coming out every week on Crunchyroll, which is quite a few. This is a banging season, this fall season. Summer was pretty lean, But this fall season is fantastic. A lot of good stuff coming out. I kind of want to see Five Nights at Freddy. Um, Five Nights at Freddy's. I read an article about it talking about how young the demographics skew on it. It was in the article. My age group wasn't even included or mentioned. 3%, 30 whatever to 44, and that's as high as it goes as far as the age group goes. Which I'm sure is also the equivalent demographic for Johnny fans. That's a demographic that seems to skew very young. I couldn't. He's got all ages shows, and I couldn't believe how young the audience was at the San Luis Obispo show that we went to. His dad and stepmom were there, but they had to be the only other people even remotely close to my age range. But I like what's good, and young people tend to be a little bit more on top of what's cool. I'm sure Freddy's is not nearly as good as Johnny, but I'm just saying those two things compare in terms of youngness of demographic skew, and I'm curious to see it because almost only because I really like the song "It's Been So Long." It's been so long, and last I saw a chance to my money, but a man who violent slaughter. It's a great song. It's a fantastic song. Favorite film? Well, I have a lot of films that I like. A couple of old films that you might call favorites of mine are Nightmare Before Christmas and The Princess Bride. Newer films that I've liked a lot. I really enjoyed the second to last Avengers film. That was really good. Infinity War, I think it was called. I liked also from MCU stuff, I liked Thor Ragnarok a lot. That's a great film. Um, Other movies I've liked a lot that are less. Well, one thing I think is an amazingly good movie, but I would never want to watch it again. It's hard to watch for me. Was Before Sunrise, I think it's called. Um, I don't know. It's hard to say. I've watched a lot of movies. Some of them more memorable than others. One of the most stuck in my mind movies of all time. That, like, I can remember basically the whole plot of it. I remember lots of scenes from it, even though I haven't seen it in many years. I only saw it one time. Is Gran Torino. Gran Torino really just like it's kind of brutally stuck in my head, but I can remember every scene of that movie. They were great, but it's no Aquaman. Believe it or not, I was stunned to discover this, but they have made and are releasing an Aquaman 2. You'd think, why would anybody ever dream of making a sequel to a movie as abjectly terrible as Aquaman? Yes, Aquaman 2 has at least a little bit of Amber Heard in it, although they kind of tried to cut her out, I think. I think they should have tried to leave her in because it's like, even, it's kind of one of those uh, all publicity is good publicity things. I'd be more interested in seeing Aquaman 2 if I knew it was thick with Amber Heard. Because watching her perform now, knowing that she's a bed pooper, I mean, it just allows you to make so many jokes during the course of the movie. Anybody would want to see that. But when I cut Amber Heard's role down to like 10 minutes of screen time or something, well, now there's absolutely no reason to see Aquaman 2. It's like the studio is barely promoting it at all because it's so terrible. What do I think Thor's MBTI type is? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's written very purely as a specific type. No, we're talking about Thor from MCU. Real Thor, not the movie. I still don't know. I still don't know the answer to that question. Um, Sometimes he seems almost ISFJ. Sometimes he seems kind of ESTP. It depends on. He's not written very clearly as a character type. He's not like the characters in Bob's Burgers. Hello, boy stuff. He's not like the characters in Bob's Burgers, which are written very purely as a specific type. I mean, whether purposefully or otherwise, I don't know. Probably otherwise, but they end up being clearly representative of a type. Yeah, I think in general, when people do write clear types as, write characters as clear types, they probably don't do so from a typological perspective. I just answered that question, boys stuff, but it's a tough question for me to answer. If I look sort of old movies that I saw when I was younger, I like The Princess Bride and I like Nightmare Before Christmas. It's harder to answer when I factor in new movies. I've seen so many. Well, thanks, boy stuff. Um, I don't really. I do pay some attention to the sub numbers, but not very much. It's been going up lately for some reason. I'm not sure why. It probably has to do again with vertical live streaming and shorts, are the two main things that probably produce subs. I make a fair number of shorts, but I should make more. They're so easy to make. I could make a ton of them about random things and get many thousands of views. But in some ways, it's a little more difficult than it seems. Like you got to have some kind of an idea that's better than just anything. But the biggest problem that people have with shorts when they make them is that I've noticed is they make them that are too long. Like Taylor had a good potential short. He said her expression is priceless or whatever. I watched it, but it went on much beyond the 7 or so seconds that was just the thing and her response. It should have just been that. Then that thing would do quite well. No, Ruben, I'm wearing modesty pants. They go all the way down to the ground. Okay. It's modesty pants weather outside anyway. Yeah, the cats generally do well, but not always. It depends on the whether there's something. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything particularly great, but like when Trouble is sitting and looking at the wall, he likes to sit right here, right between this chair and the wall, just with his face like practically pressed up against the wall. It's a strange place to sit. So when I see that, I saw that I made a video of that. I just kind of see something like that, or have a notion, or maybe just even like a little song to sing to the kitty while I pet them or something. Whatever, anything like that will do fine. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? And what am I looking for? Am I looking for anything at all? I'm going to get a beverage. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I've decided to get a beverage that's different than coffee. I've got a choice between mango, and guava. I'm going to take the last guava. Call me selfish, but I'm taking the last guava. Now, I know what I need to do. I need to unlock this door as per meow. And then I need to go around through here. Open the garage door. Get my cigarettes. Get the twanger from the little car. And come over here. Now it sounds like the Woodland friends want more cutlets. So before I close the garage door, I will give them more cutlets. I'll be right back from the cutlet give. There you go. There you go, little Harvey. Okay, go eat your cutlets then. So anyway, the squirrel's still yapping at me as though I didn't give him any cutlets. It's chilly out here this morning. Reminds me of that year I spent naked in Antarctica. Naked and afraid of Antarctica. I had to make a home and a bed and everything out of penguins. In total, I killed about 10,000 penguins to make my shelter. It was pretty spacious. I killed a bunch of seals and put their skins over the top of my penguin hut. And then killed the whale and got all of the whale spermaceti, the whale oil. I used that to heat my house and cook on and stuff. And mostly I ate, fish, penguins, whale meat. I had that whale meat lasted me a while. It was a huge sperm whale, and I got sick of it after a while. For vegetables, I had inside my house. I made a greenhouse by really scraping really thin, so it was translucent like glass. The skin of the sperm whale, and I used whale blubber to heat the room in it. So in that hot house, I grew a variety of vegetables, including lettuce, tomatoes, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, a lot of different things. And that's how I survived in Antarctica a year, naked and afraid. Yep, true story. True story. When I came back, I built this house out of whale bones. Brought them all back with me. This is actually a scrimshaw house. I ran a little short, so I had to import some ivory. I wish that squirrel would just shut up and come down and eat his cutlets already. Like, what are you still chirping about? I put plenty of cutlets up. So, anyway. Taylor is an ESTP8. I agree with you. You and I are in full agreement about that. Hessian of the Manchu Neohuru clan was an official of the Qing dynasty favored by the Qianlong Emperor and called the most corrupt official in Chinese history. After the death of Qianlong, the Jie King Emperor confiscated Hessian's wealth and forced him to commit suicide. I don't want to do that though. Why am I not on Taylor's streams? I guess he tried to invite me one time and I just either wasn't available or didn't notice it. If he invites me to be on a panel or something at exactly the right time, I will be. But I don't seek it. I'm glad to see him doing well. He seems to get a lot of viewers, participants in the chat and stuff, Makes me happy for him. So I don't know the extent to which me being on there would contribute to his success particularly. So it's like if I felt like me being on his live stream would help in some way, I would be happy to do so. But I don't really think it would be of particular value in terms of any nameable positive impacts for either of us. So I don't know. I'm live streaming here this way because that's naturally what I feel like doing. Even though I'm not on any speed, I have no amphetamines today. It is sleepy week, but I still managed to stream for over an hour. That's pretty good. I'm feeling pretty accomplished about that. I'll probably go back to bread after this. I might watch a cartoon. There are a couple of good cartoons that come out today that I'm looking forward to watching at some point. I think I'm in Love with the Villainess comes out today, which is great. I really like that one. I'll have to. So the new episode of Shy comes out. Shy's okay. It came out today. Um, Ron Kanohashi's Forbidden Deductions came out. And I think I'm in love with the villain. Oh, Dead Mount Death Play is it came out episode 16 today. I'm looking forward to that. That's a good show. I really like that. That was a treat this season to realize that they were continuing season one of Dead Mount Death Play. It's really like basically two seasons because season one was 13 episodes, but they're calling this new release this fall because it was a spring show. I think it was spring, might have been winter, but I think it was spring, and it ended at 13 episodes. I thought like, okay, well hopefully they come out with the second season of it, but instead, here in the fall they have continue season one with episodes 14, 15, 16. 16 comes out today. That's a great show. I like that one a lot. So, of the ones released so far today, I like that one best. But the thing is, also released today were 8 episodes of I'm in Love with the Villainess dub. Oh, here it is. Yeah, the new episode of I'm in Love with the Villainess came out at 9:30. So I like that show a lot. It's the only explicitly lesbian show I really remember seeing in anime. Um, they have this really interesting conversation where the other characters in the show, even though it's set in like lords and ladies time, right? They ask her if she's gay, and she says yes. And then one of the other characters says, um, but it's not really about gender, right? It's about whomever you love. And then the lead character says, no, it's definitely about gender. I'm not attracted to men, only to women. So I thought, like, that is incredibly unusual for a Japanese anime to do that. It's just, I've never seen it before. I've never seen them address the subject directly like that. It's a it's a pretty great show because um 3 is very normal for I think ENFJ. But I don't know if you're a 3 either, Ruben. Um Based on my limited interactions with you. But maybe I'll try to figure that out when I see you at Christmas. Have I seen Bible Black? No, I haven't seen that one. Is it on Crunchyroll? Okay. So, I'm pleased to note that I've got 2 good cartoons to watch. One of them better than the other. Actually, I'm sorry. I have 3 good cartoons to watch. 2 of them I'm very excited about. One of them I'm a little less excited about. The Ron Kanahashi's Hidden Deductions one is good, but doesn't really tickle my scrotum. It's just good. And I prefer, obviously, as most people do, scrotum tickling over non scrotum tickling. So, anywho, I watched an interesting. Before I go, I am going to wrap this up pretty soon. But before I go, I want to tell you about an interesting story I have heard about and looked into a bit regarding the death of a family that happened very close to us. So here in Mariposa County in 2021, there was a family with their dog, a man, a woman, a young child, and the dog. And they went hiking one morning. Uh, they drove their car down Heights Cove Road, which is right there. Okay. They drove it as far as you can drive it. And they parked it and they went to walk what's known as the Savage Lundy Trail, which is a trail that I think is a circle trail. Potentially, it comes back to where you get it up, you start on, but there may be a way that it connects to Yosemite. I'm not sure. Regardless, it was a hot day. Temperatures reached as high as 98 in Mariposa, which means probably a little cooler than that on the trail. But the point is, some point during the day, all four of them died. The dog, the man, the woman, the child, in the same general area, like relatively close to each other. And there was no explaining it. And so they said they basically all died of hyperthermia, being too hot. I just do not buy it. They still had a little bit of water left in their camel thing, camel bladder, which is a thing that holds water. And the sheriffs and everybody looked, the coroner did all this testing and stuff. They couldn't figure out any real cause of death, so they just said, well, they overheated to death. I do not buy it. First of all, 98 degrees is not that hot. Probably too hot to go hiking, but not that hot that you're going to have four perfectly healthy living entities, 3 people and a dog, in one day all die because it's too hot? Bullshit. I watched enough Naked and Afraid to know that people can, but they still had water, a little bit of water in their thing. It started off full, right? So they've been drinking water throughout the day. Are you telling me that at no point did any of those 4 people go, there was no, you can't get any cell set reception out there? And the cops never made public what their messages were, if any, or attempts to call or whatever. But you're telling me that even the dog died, that maybe 3 people are dumb enough to never find a single tree to get under and be in the shade for a few minutes, to cool down. But the dog too? You've got to be fucking kidding me. All 4 of them got bit by a rattlesnake? I think if they'd gotten bit by rattlesnakes, then they would have been able to figure that out in the coroner's office, right? No, I mean, it was big news. The sheriff, I watched the interview of the sheriff, and he's like, in 20 years of being sheriff here in Mariposa County, I have never seen anything like this. We don't know what to make of it. It's crazy. It's like they had, first it took till like Monday for them to realize they were missing, call it in, successfully, because it was like maybe a Sunday they went out on or something. And, but there's no indication of that either. There was no indication of that. No notes, no poison, no anything. So it's really mysterious. I find the explanation that they all died of heat overheating to be not to be lacking in believability, because I've seen enough Naked and Afraid where people are like marching through the desert naked in 110-degree weather, and they don't die. They get really thirsty, and then they have to boil some dirty water, and they drink that, and then they live. They certainly don't die. So anyway, I don't know. It's mysterious to me. Very mysterious. It was less than one day. So, they drove up here, so from someplace, I don't know exactly sure where. They couldn't have gotten out here any earlier than 8 or 9 in the morning. Let's say 8 in the morning, by and they were dead before sunset. Um Sounds like it was in July. So it was long days we're talking about, but even so, heat exhaustion took a fatal nap. The autopsy just was kind of inconclusive, but they concluded that it was heat problem. Yeah, the coroner did all kinds of shit. They even did an autopsy on the dog, and it was inconclusive, but there was signs consistent with heat problems. Well, I mean, come on, maybe, but it seems sus to me. Part of the problem is shortly after they recovered the bodies, sent them to autopsy and stuff, started to do the investigation in the area, the fires happened. The first of the fires, the Oak Fire, happened. And they had to pull everything out, and they closed the national forest for like 2 weeks. So then, I don't know if the evidence area got burned or whatever, but after a couple weeks of closure and not being able to get back there, and there being lots of fires in the general area, um, the whatever evidence might have been left behind of something happening that was what you'd call indicative of foul play. The thing is, they initially ruled it a homicide, um, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, when my dad shot himself and the cops came in, they initially treated it as a homicide, because that's what you default to in instances where it's not 100% sure. Well, I mean, there is some history of dumb tourists getting themselves in trouble back here. There's the story I heard of the French people who were listening to their GPS, which was telling them they could drive to Yosemite via Heights Cove Road, which might technically go through all the way, but it's like you have to have a little wilderness car. You can't take a regular car all the way through for sure. And anyway, where it goes to is not an entrance into Yosemite. It's just like it reaches the national forest, but it's not a place you're supposed to go in. Anyway, those people, they like broke their rental car trying to do this shit. And we were finally able to alert somebody, and they had to come back and get them, rescue them, and stuff like that. And it was that incident that caused the county to put up these signs on Scott Road that say no access to Yosemite. Don't don't try to get to Yosemite this way. So I mean, there is a history of tourists having problems back here because um, I've encountered myself like my maps telling me, well, you can go this way to fish camp or you can go this way through the mountains. Well, you can go that way through the mountains if you are going that way in a little wilderness car, but you cannot go that way in a regular car. I did see on that road, um, like big, not super huge, but pickup trucks that had like extra big tires on them, but they looked like they drove those regularly on the street as well. And that road's a little bit more well maintained than the roads back this way. That road goes fundamentally that way, across the Sierra Forest out to Fish Camp, which is close to that entrance to Yosemite. So I haven't seen that car before. The neighbors get a lot of visitors, though. I think it's visitors to the neighbors. Like they currently, I believe, have her mom staying with them from Australia. She's from Australia. He's American. Floss Fitness TV. Hey, I just randomly joined your stream. How are you and who are you? I'm fine. My name is Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People. And what I am doing currently is live streaming. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about that. I'm exploring all the things that make being human a wonderful experience. I'm a sexual performance coach, yes. Oh, basically, you got a hump like this. So, anyway, I like that show, What Lurks Beneath, on YouTube. It's one of the few channels that I go back to regularly to watch some new thing. He's got a lot of videos. They're not all equally interesting, but um, they're all about stuff like that. But that one was especially interesting to me because Heights Cove Road is just like 2 blocks right over there. And we've driven down that dirt road ourselves in the little wilderness car. These people take a regular car down there. Of course, the road back there, I haven't actually been able to get all the way back there since I've lived here because um, weather events caused a series of trees to fall across that road. I have a chainsaw. I could go out there and chop out a car-sized gap in the tree and drive down the road, but I'm a little scared to use my chainsaw. I've never used a chainsaw before, a real one. I've got a real one, a powerful Husqvarna, and I don't want to chop my leg off or anything. I kind of want to wait till Cameron's here to fire that bad boy up. Saw some freaking logs in half or whatever. But if I were serious about using the little wilderness car to good effect, I'd go out with the chainsaw and with my rifle and be a regular outdoorsy guy. But I'm pretty sissified. So, as a pretty sissified guy, that stuff kind of sounds kind of dangerous to me. course, around here, there aren't a whole lot of sissified guys like me. When we were in town for a parade one day, I saw out in front of this little boutique store these couple of families. One of the guys had on a T-shirt that said, "Y'all motherfuckers need a two-stroke," which is, of course, the kind of engine that a chainsaw uses. There used to be like mini bikes and stuff that were two strokes, but I don't think those are very common anymore. Pretty sure his shirt was referring to chainsaws. What's your bench 1RM? I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, I have a chainsaw. Sorry guys, I don't know. If you were trolling, I need Eric to answer for himself. What does he say? What is the question? What topics am I interested in? Everything and nothing. I was a debate coach for a long time. I don't really still do it anymore, but being a debate coach means I've researched and have opinions about most public policy matters, philosophy stuff, typology. No, I don't debate. I mean, sure, if we were to get like one of those convenient, disposable, concentrate vapes, we might hit that. But by and large, I I'm not inclined towards vaping. I'd rather pull bong rips. I do drive a stick shift. Yes, I do. A Mini Cooper Countryman 4-door stick shift. It doesn't have a lot of pep in it, you know. It doesn't have a lot of get up and go. It's not like you can just push the gas and vroom. My dad also used to have a Mini, and after he died, I drove both Minis, and his Mini was much more of a sports car than mine is. But we decided to sell his instead of mine. I don't regret it because having a stick shift up here in the mountains is a good thing. It saves you a lot of brake usage. I can do one squat, and I can deadlift 1,200 pounds. I'm really, really strong. One day, somebody asked to see how many push-ups I can do. I think I did 12, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was just 10. I don't know. I'm going to show you how I can do one squat. See? Pretty good. Pretty good. That was a pure good squat, too. Can we pay you to transfer the debate better? No, because it's not really a general skill. I'm a debate coach, which means I coach people in the sport of debate. The sport of debate produces resolutions, depending on the kind of debate, either every month, every 2 months, or once a year, for a public forum, Lincoln Douglas, and policy debate, respectively. So I prepare people to win those competition debates. I don't teach people generally how to win arguments because, by and large, attempting to argue with people without there being a clear resolution and structure to the exchanges is a waste of time, not a good use of rhetorical exchange. People who debate on YouTube are not debating at all. They're just doing debate theater. I don't know how much I can deadlift, nor do I know how much I can bench press. But I do know this, that when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I worked at a job where I had to lift adults a lot. So I'd have to lift them like this, you know. And whatever muscles that uses, plus my bicep, those got quite strong when I was at that job. But it's been a long time since I was at that job. So whatever strength I gained from that Um, oh, that's fine. What topics am I interested in? I'm interested in all kinds of topics, just about everything, you know. Sometimes I talk about sports a lot. Sometimes I talk about cosmological questions, philosophy. Some talk about typology or personality type. Sometimes I talk about what I'm doing today. Sometimes I make up bullshit, like that story I was telling you about being naked in Antarctica for a year. Sometimes I explain why I'm taking B vitamins. Why are you taking B vitamins, Eric? Oh, well, it's because I gave myself neuropathy from huffing too much nitrous. Don't huff as much nitrous as I did, or you too might have neuropathy. Now, the neuropathy caused by nitrous oxide is, of course, caused by a severe vitamin B deficiency. Probably should have been taking these a long time ago, but I started recently taking them. And are they helping? Well, it is the case that my neuropathy seems to slowly be getting better. Whether these are a contributing factor in that or not is tough question to answer. What do you personally do to make the world a better place except for your teachings here? Nothing. You know, I love my wife and my cats and my daughter. I try to be nice when I go out in the world. I try to never be willfully unkind. But I don't feel any responsibility to do any specific kind of proactive action to make the world a better place. I do feel a responsibility at some point to run for president because obviously the country needs a competent leader. But at the moment, that's not my concern. At the moment, my concern is sort of learning to live this new life of mine that is very different than any life I ever had for my first 51 years. I mean, my nature, my personality is such that I believe to the extent that I can do good in the world, it's going to happen through expressing myself with language. Because I don't tend to talk about things for the purpose of expressing myself, but rather for the purpose of communicating important information or truths. Or for making hilarious jokes. Hilarious joke is one of the most important kinds of information or truth that a person can engage in. You know, I also watch a lot of TV, watch a lot of anime, watch sports sometimes. I try to go outside and enjoy nature a little bit more than I have heretofore since we moved here. It offers us a lot of outside pleasantness, you know, compared to the city. It's just it's great. It's there's not that much noise pollution or light pollution. It's not very crowded. It's pretty low density population. And we're right next to the Sierra National Forest, Yosemite National Forest. Um, but Rachel and I are neither of us are really accustomed to being free to take advantage of doing what we feel like doing. Uh, and so we're both kind of still getting used to the fact that, or her more than me, like that she can sleep whenever she wants for as long as she wants. She can spend her time just watching YouTube videos over different. It's like pick a card over and over. She can just tweak out on her self-soothing behaviors as much as she wants, and nobody's gonna bust her chops. She's still getting used to that idea. She still doesn't really feel like this is as much her house as it is mine. Even though we're married, she's not accustomed, just as I'm not accustomed, to having that much autonomy and sovereignty. She's less accustomed to it than I. When I lived in Temple City, I rented the same house for like almost 20 years. And, even there, and then I didn't really feel like, I wasn't and didn't feel like a homeowner. It was a tiny house. There wasn't much space there. There weren't, it didn't afford me an opportunity to spread out. Like I've got all my music gear and shit down here in this living room next to TV, where I centrally try to do everything. Um, but I should and could just set up a music room upstairs in the blue room. I it's like I don't get the fact in some way that this is my house and I can do what I want. It's kind of weird, you know. So I'm just getting used to trying to be, as I talked about before, trying to be just sort of naturally joyful again, such that when I get up in the morning, I'm excited just to have some coffee, look at Google News a little bit, watch a cartoon or two, segue into the day, maybe do a couple of chores, kind of whistle while you work, kind of stuff. I don't really feel that today, but it's understandable because I'm just, this is the second day out from amphetamine, so it's going to be a little bit of an understated day. But I do feel like I'm coming out of a fog of habituated dissatisfaction or unhappiness. The one exception, of course, being my relationship. What do I do for a living? Nothing. I used to be a debate coach. For a while, I had my own debate business called Autonomy Debate. For a while before that, I was the director of a very successful middle school debate school called Kudos, College of Youth Leadership. Um, so I've worked in education for most of my life, but then my parents died, and I inherited the estate along with my daughter. We inherited it, and I'm living off of that. Which, depending on, it's like I got to be smart with both expenditures and investments, but you know, I need to sit down and have a meeting with my daughter about our long term financial plans, crunch some numbers and stuff, but I should be fine for a while. Hopefully, indefinitely, if we do things right and intelligently. I got a couple notions for that I'm not sure make would make actually financial sense, but one of the notions I have potentially is, if you buy just raw land, it's actually pretty cheap. Consider like you can get like 8, 10 acres or whatever for 100 grand or something, 80 grand maybe. Um, I was thinking, I wonder how much profit there is to be made in purchasing land, building a house on it, building a road to that house, and then selling it. Because, a house on 8 acres, all of a sudden you're looking at $1 million plus, right? 8 acres by itself, you're looking at 100 grand. how much does it cost to build a house and a road, dig a well? You know, those are the questions. And factoring in, say, realtor fees, is there really sufficient profit to be made, building permits, etc.? Just one of the things I've been thinking about. Because it is the case that if you add a structure to 8 acres of land, all of a sudden its value goes up immensely. Obviously, how nice the structure is matters, but 3 bedroom, 2 bath, or whatever. I don't know how much that costs to build, etc. I'm 52 years old. If I could successfully crunch all those numbers and see a profit of like 100 grand plus after taxes in a year or something, it might make sense. Well, the plan I have preserves low density and thereby is as environmentally friendly as one can get in this county, you know, while still doing development. Is development always contrary to environmental concerns? Yes, obviously. When you take a plot of land, level a portion of it, put a structure on it, and put people living there to impose their will on that piece of land, then obviously it's contrary to the best interests of the land itself as a natural entity. But that's just life, you know. I mean, the point is, I'm not saying I want to go develop a KOA campground, which is what's currently being, got everybody up in arms around here. Is these this company called Terramore um, purchased these big plots of land and want to build basically KOA campgrounds with you know RV hookups and stuff. So as a consequence, people in Mariposa don't like that because it's a low density place. The whole county doesn't even have a single stoplight. So do you think that knowing the art of debating is helping your relationships? I know from myself, the more problems you know of, the more problems you think that there are. Uh, I, I mean, the way I approach language is helpful in any relationship because it's fundamentally fair. And I'm not interested in winning an argument. I'm interested in what's the best argument. So if that means if I'm at fault, I am very likely to hold myself accountable. I frequently say to Rachel, no, you should not be saying you're sorry. I'm the one who messed up here, and here's why. Because Rachel rarely messes up. Between the two of us, if there's a screw up of some sort, it's almost always me. So, but Rachel's a 9 and and has been habituated to expect the other person to, you know, be mad, voice expectations, voice disappointment, and meow or whatever other kinds of bullshit, right? Whereas I just want Rachel to be happy. I've always been a good relationship partner. I've always tried to be a good relationship partner. Well, not always. In my first marriage, I wasn't. But that's because I didn't like her at all. uh, but yeah, generally, I've always tried to be fair and a good relationship partner. I felt like I had a good understanding of what that meant. My parents were fair with each other. Um, Neither tried to push the other one around or leverage things. They had a good, healthy relationship. They wanted each other to be happy. They didn't look for things to criticize. They didn't, it's like they were in a healthy relationship. They were typologically perhaps I don't think especially well suited for one another, but they were both interested in being good relationship partners, and that's what's required to have a good relationship, most of all. Rachel and I are both interested in that, but we both have been damaged some by previous bad relationships. And that damage, if you don't have your subjective functions very high up, as I don't, and Rachel definitely doesn't, then that damage gets processed slowly, bit by bit, over sometimes years after the damage occurs, even. Good luck to you too, Floss Fitness TV. I hope you were as fit as flossing your teeth makes your teeth fit. Hi, Oi Sulu Tashpula Tova. Hello. Kanam, aka to you as well. So, is he a tool or adept at going around those problems? I don't view things as problems. I'm not looking for problems, right? When problems occur, I look to determine the statuses of those problems. Whose fault is it? If this is an interpersonal problem, I look first and foremost to the question of whose fault is it? If it's either my fault, their fault, or something else that I have to worry, but I have to think a lot more. In instances where it's neither their fault or my fault, then it's an FI thing probably, and it's just confusing. But most of the time, if there's a dispute between two people, and I'm one of those two people, it's either my fault or their fault. If it's their fault, then they need to meow. If it's my fault, then I need to meow. It's that simple, you know? So with Rachel, I spend most of my time, whenever there's any kind of problem between us, which is very rarely, but when there is, I spend most of my time explaining how, no, Rachel, I need to fuck off. This is my fault. You don't need to apologize. It's probably ill advised for you to apologize because, after all, you should only apologize when you've done something wrong. Like the other week when I was feeling retroactive jealousy, obviously that's all my fault. How could that possibly be her fault? She can't be responsible for making me jealous by having had relationships before me. That's ridiculous. So in that instance, I need to fuck off, right? It's very straightforward. Very, very straightforward. Sometimes things aren't so straightforward, but with me and Rachel, it's almost always Eric needs to fuck off. And we have very little conflict. Because I do a pretty good job of not of avoiding instances where Eric needs to fuck off. I don't like fucking off especially, so I do a decent job of avoiding it. Now, I am serious this time, you guys. I am serious. I'm tired of you constantly making me not stop streaming. We're going to go outside. We're going to smoke this cigarette. We're going to drink a little guava juice. And then we're going to come back inside and we're going to seriously consider the possibility of maybe stop streaming. First, we're going to go out this way. These are the 2 pumpkins we got. Can you see them? You can. We're going to carve those pumpkins, I guess, today. Today's the 30th. We could do it tomorrow. The day of the 31st. When you're carving pumpkins, everything is beautiful. You can carve some pumpkins with your face. Eric, why are you carving pumpkins? So that the trick-or-treaters know we're open for business. We'll turn the lights on. We'll put the pumpkins on the ends of the wall. People could see it from the street, hopefully. And we'll say, you know, welcome to Pumpkin Town. Come get some candy. Rachel really enjoyed the trick-or-treaters last year. They came by the Arcadia house. If I remember correctly, I was mostly watching a football game or something, but I helped a little bit giving out candy. We got a lot of candy last year, and we actually burned through all of it. We had so many trick-or-treaters. I'm kind of indifferent to the experience, but I like the idea of making a favorable impression on neighbors who have children, neighbors in general, but this is an opportunity to make a favorable impression on neighbors with children, so might as well take advantage of the FE opportunity and have some carved pumpkins and have candy available in case any children come by. It's going to be a cold night. I don't know how much that's going to impact trick-or-treaters or not. They're probably accustomed to that up here, but it's going to be a record cold, or a near record, I think it said. Yesterday or the day before, I don't remember which, was a record low for this date. But, you know, as we proceed into winter, it'll become pretty normal for it to get that cold. Hopefully it'll get some snowfall relatively soon. That'd be nice. As it is, like last night when I went out, it was really cold. I stood out underneath the open sky and smelled the cool, wintry forest air with the smell of somebody's fireplace, and, you know, coloring it in delightful fashion. And even though I had on this jacket, I could only stand outside for like 5 minutes before it was just like, okay, it's too cold. I gotta go back inside. Some sort of work's getting done today. I hear this. You know, that beep, 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 beep. Backing up truck. Maybe it's possible the cone putters have finally made their way all the way back here, although I doubt it. I don't think they've got a ways to go still, but they're still back there on the curvy part just as it turns into Scott Road. So they got a ways to go. I don't know what's going on, but something going on. Which is as good a reason as any to go back inside where it's nice and quiet. Our house is like a library. It's so quiet. No outside noise comes in. Now, the heater is kind of noisy because, I guess because it's propane maybe. You can hear when it kicks on, when it shuts off very easily. We're going to have to get the old propane tank refilled before winter really hits. Come November, we'll get a refill on that tank. Fill it to 100, hopefully, and then it should last us through the winter. I don't think they're going to finish in time, but if the power company finishes burying the power lines in time, then hopefully we won't have any power outages this winter. That would be sweet. If we have a generator, but it doesn't turn on the central heating, which is why we have these two fake fireplace propane heater things that require no electricity. I currently have both of them turned off completely, like pilot lights off and everything, because they produce a surprising amount of warmth just via the pilot light. And when it was hot, obviously, we didn't want these little fireplaces competing with the air conditioning. It took us a while to figure out that they were actually producing quite a bit of heat, even though they were off. They weren't. The pilot light meant that they weren't really all the way off, and took us a while to recognize it. I think maybe Rachel recognized it before me, but she's hesitant about telling me what to do. Even though, of all people in the world, she is by far the most empowered, or maybe Delilah, to tell me what to do. Delilah doesn't normally tell me what to do. But if Rachel tells me what to do, well, I'll definitely do it. She just never does, really. I'm currently wiping off the dust from my tripod. That's what that sound is. It got all dusty when we went on our little trip. What I need to do next time we go on a little trip is put everything but ourselves inside of a cooler with a lid on it so nothing gets dusty. I could also potentially hire one of those trucks that works on a baseball diamond to squirt water on the dirt, to drive in front of me and squirt water on all the dirt. But that would probably be not a very cost-effective thing to do. I think we just have to accept the fact that we're going to get a little dusty. I quite enjoyed that last trip out in the wilderness car. It makes me want to go out there again during the week here when there's going to be even fewer people, even though we saw almost nobody into the Saturday, which is just spectacular, because very few people are equipped to drive out there on those wilderness roads or want to, yeah, you can do it with a 4x truck. But But some of the roads pretty sketch, you know. I think you're most well suited to drive on it with a little wilderness car. You're too cool for school? You and me both. Yeah, you need to get candy. No, my lungs are still virgins. Actually. I've got a huge lung capacity. It's weird. You'd think my lungs would be more fucked than they are. But, like, I'll show you something. That's pretty good. It's pretty good breath control, you know. It's not bad. Bro, are you stupid? I mean, I think you meant, bro, are you stupid? Bro, you are stupid, question mark. Well, that's an awfully poor way to accuse somebody else of a lack of intelligence. You kind of open the door for immediate critique, you know. So, Aaron Bay, I kind of like your icon. I wonder what that's from. Is that from an anime? Armored personnel carrier, like a BMP. This is all the time now because we keep getting all these new people coming in. And generally, I think the majority of people as viewers or creators on YouTube are considerably younger than I am. Probably, if you just look at the population as a whole, the majority of people are younger than 52. So that's not surprising. But that's that's a beautiful bit of irony there when somebody comes in and says that. Your meta? I don't know what that exactly means, my Q way. Even if you were to leave out the H, my meta, I don't know what you're asking exactly. So, color me unclear. But, you know, lots of things to me in life are unclear, and I'm okay with that. Well, it's not unclear to me. It's not unclear to me at all. Okay? I know all, I see all, I find everything. I found it. Now all your stupid belong to me. Uh-oh, Tiffany's stolen all of you stupid. Um, Galvatron's woman. Who's Galvatron? Yeah, who's Galvatron? Anyway, I live with this horrible selfish old man. And I tell him, you are a horrible selfish old man. He never listens. Leader of the Decepticons, huh? They don't sound like they're good guys, that's for sure. They sound like people who are busy deceiving others. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks all for being here. Thanks to Flamo for the $7. I appreciate that. And I wish you all the very best today in each of your many endeavors. Remember, The love and tenderness and sweetness of Host Eric goes with you throughout the day. It'll last all the way till midnight tonight. Enjoy it, and goodbye.